Hello everyone, we are Group 7 and we decided to do a presentation for our market research project. This shows us a table of contents. This is essentially the structure of our presentation. We start off by talking about the purpose of the survey, the key research objectives and methods, the main findings, and the recommendations that we have for the company. So, starting off with the purpose of the survey. So, the owners of Santa Fe Grill restaurant noticed that their revenues, traffic flow, and sales were declining after being successful for 5 years. Hence, they felt the need to require updated information. And why did they need that? Because they actually wanted to focus on improving the sales. This is the reason they came ahead and decided to conduct a survey in order to gather all this information. So the key research objectives and the method that we have been focusing on. And the method that we used was actually a demographic analysis, which was only for one question, which is question 2. And we used cross analysis for the rest of the questions. And that was a method that was followed by us. So we actually got some SPSS output for the data that we received from the respondents. And we used the means, the frequencies, and the cross tabulation data in order to come ahead with some key findings. So the first question that the first research objective that we have addressed over here was understanding the importance of factors which were considered while choosing casual dining restaurants by the Santa Fe Grill customers. So we noticed that the ranking were as follows. So food quality was the most important factor for them, followed by service, price, and atmosphere. How did we conclude this? We looked at the mean rankings. So as you can see in the graph on the right hand side, which is a bar chart, that food quality had a mean ranking of 1.5 and atmosphere had the highest, which was about a bit above 3, which shows that it was the least important factor that was considered by Santa Fe Grill customers. So we know that this is what the customers are actually looking at when they choose a casual dining restaurant. So what was the problem that we observed over here? So question 12, which was about whether the restaurant had friendly employees, and question 19, which was about whether they had knowledgeable employees, had the lowest means, which actually indicated that the respondents were not really satisfied with the service. Because, and as we saw in the previous slide, service was the second most important factor that was considered by the customers of Santa Fe Grill. This is something that is a big problem for the restaurant. And we can also see that in the graph that is on the right hand side. 54.5% of the females actually gave a rating of 2 for the question 12, which is friendly employees, and 44.3% of 50 to 59-year-olds and 54.5% of the 60 plus age group gave a rating of 2, which is quite low for question 19, which is about knowledgeable employees, which shows that the problem areas is actually employees, and service was the second most important factor, and the restaurant really needs to address it as soon as possible. Moving on to the second research objective, it talks about the characteristics comparison between the two restaurants, Santa Fe Grill and their top competitor, JS Cafe. So the key advantages or the key strong points of Santa Fe Grill were fresh food, attractive interior, a fun place to eat, excellent food taste, and the places where they actually were lacking behind were friendly employees, which means that they did not really have friendly employees as highlighted in the previous question. And the people actually felt that they did not have knowledgeable employees as well. On the other hand, JS Cafe was looked at for its fresh food, speed of service, and excellent food taste, which shows its strong points, and its weaker points were reasonable prices, which actually mean that they did not offer reasonable prices, and the customers felt that the portions were not really large enough. And on the left hand side, we can see the means for the various characteristics for both the restaurants. So if we actually compare and we take out a mean of the total 10 questions, which were questions 12 to question 21, which dealt with the perception of customers, we see that JS Cafe actually has a higher mean than Santa Fe Grill. And this means that overall people viewed JS Cafe in a more positive light than Santa Fe Grill. And on the left-hand side, the graph also shows that in terms of service and food quality, which are the two more important factors, JS Cafe actually outperformed Santa Fe Grill. which means that the customers could actually move towards JS Cafe because they were the two important factors that were actually considered by a customer going to a casual restaurant. So that was about the second point. Moving on to the third research objective, this is a psychographic profile of Santa Fe Grill. So essentially, we noticed that the customers could be categorized based on the three parameters. One would be health consciousness, the second would be open to new experiences, and the third would be advice givers. So we actually classified this based on based on the questions that were actually addressed by Santa Fe Grill in terms of question 1 to question 10. And this is the essential broader profile that we could derive from it. And based on the survey, we saw that X6, which is actually the variable in the SPSS output, which talks about whether friends come to me, which is where friends come to us for advice, X8, which is about buying new products, and high agreement, which had high agreement, which meant that people actually felt that a lot of people came to them for advice, and whether they felt that they did feel the need to buy new products, which meant that they were experimental. And while X1, which is a variable for question 1, actually talks about trying out different things, it had high disagreement. Here, there was a contradictory thing that was noticed, that they would not really want to actually try out new different things. And this is reflected in the pie charts, which are on the left-hand side. So we can clearly see that X6 and X8 have a really high agreement rate of 73.9% and 76.3% respectively. However, X1 had a really moderately high, you can say, disagreement rate of about 42.1%, which is the highest amongst any other question. So we get a sense of the psychographic profile of Santa Fe Grill's customers. Moving on to the fourth research objective, this actually talks about the correlated factors of positive word of mouth advertising patterns. So we actually went ahead by taking question 24 as a base question, which actually talks about how likely are you to recommend a Santa Fe Grill to a friend. So this was actually looked at by following the cross tabulation data of the SPSS output. And we saw that there were a few strong positive correlated variables following the Pearson's correlation, which were actually variable X22 and X23. X22 was about customer satisfaction, and it had a high positive correlation of 0.802. And X23 talked about likelihood to return to the restaurant, and it also had a high positive correlation of 0.844. And they could actually be categorized as customer satisfaction variables. So people who are actually satisfied with, actually that means the customers who are satisfied have a tendency to return frequently, and most likely they would be going ahead with spreading positive word of mouth, which could actually improve the sales of the restaurant. And in X22, people with a rating of above 5 were more likely to recommend it to a friend, as we could see in the SPSS output. Similarly, in X23, people who rated above 4 were more likely to recommend Santa Fe Grill restaurant to their friends. So both of them showing positive word of mouth through the customers, because the customers were really satisfied, and the more satisfied the customers are, the more likely they are to recommend it to their peers. Then we also saw some negatively correlated variables, which were X4, which is basically avoiding fried foods, and X10, which was about people are careful about what they eat. So we saw that X4 had a negative correlation of minus 0.48, and X10 had a negative correlation of minus 0.501. And they could be actually classified as health conscious variables. So the overall finding that we see for them were basically customer satisfaction is key to get a positive word of mouth advertising, and customers who are health conscious are unlikely to give positive word of mouth advertising for Santa Fe Grill, because they felt that they probably felt that the restaurant was not really promoting healthy food.
Moving on to the fifth question, to assess the customer's willingness to return to the restaurant in the future. Respondents were asked to provide how willing they are to return to the restaurant in future. The findings were, as we can see in the graph, the proportion of female customers in JS Cafe who are willing to return to the restaurant are greater than the overall proportion of restaurant Santa Fe Grill. 61% of the consumers who choose to go back to Santa Fe Grill have more than two children at home. Surprisingly, Santa Fe Grill and JSK has the same situation. The distance from home is inversely proportional to the willingness to return to the restaurant. 61% of the consumers who are willing to return to the Santa Fe Grill and JS Cafe are in the range of the age group for 35 to 49. Coming to the sixth question, to assess the degree to which the customers are satisfied with their Mexican restaurant experience. Respondents were asked to provide how satisfied they are with Mexican restaurant dining experience. As we can see in the pie chart, the results show that 44.3% of the respondents rated score 4, where it states that they are neither satisfied or not dissatisfied or neutral. It can be obviously seen that no one gave score 1 and 2, which means there is no customer who is very dissatisfied or dissatisfied. 12.6% of customers are slightly dissatisfied. However, 43% of customers showed satisfaction in the restaurant experience. Only 1.2% of customers were very satisfied with this restaurant. It is notable that customers who are between the ages of 26 to 34 years old are satisfied with the experience, and the age group 50 to 59 and 60 and over have lower satisfaction compared to the younger age groups. And also, male customers are more satisfied with the restaurant experience compared to their counterparts, female customers. And for improving the sales, we have come up with managerial recommendations. We use the 4P marketing strategy. People refer to the working staff. Advice on the services. Employee services rating are low and they lack product knowledge. Only 43.1% of Santa Fe Grill's customers are generally satisfied with the restaurant. In order to increase the customer satisfaction, we suggest Santa Fe Grill to hire a recognized training organization to regularly train employees of their service skills. At the end of each month, there should also have a service skill assessment which evaluates the results and help them in improving. They should also have appropriate rewards and punishment measures. For service being too slow, we can suggest that Santa Fe Grill restaurant launch a digital menu. Restaurants can prepare a digital menu or QR codes, which not only reduces the wait time but also speed up the service. Uh, while coming to the 4 piece product, it is on the advice on food. The quality of food in Santa Fe Grill is scientific procurement demand plan such as ABC classification method. Classify according to the importance of food product and carry out key procurement for key foods to ensure the quality and freshness of the food. There should also be marketing for healthy food. 75% of customers who are health conscious are unlikely to recommend the restaurant to their friend. Santa Fe Grill should use the marketing to enhance the healthy brand image. For example, they can also demonstrate their healthy awareness by adding their healthy food to their menu or make a video to show it to the customers. And for the marketing strategy, the 4 piece place and promotion, it is to attract the female customers. Firstly, Santa Fe Grill ability to attract female customers is extremely poor. However, female customers are the group with very strong spending power. Santa Fe Grill can learn how to appeal the female customers, such as providing a stylish and comfortable restaurant environment, Women's Day promotion, providing the calorie information on the menu. Waiters can provide emotional value to the female customers and more. Major customer consumer groups are the top performers, both in terms of satisfaction and willingness to return to the restaurant. Marketers need to understand their information channels, analyze their needs, and more. In this way, promotions can be accurately pushed to them at the right time. That's it from our side. Thank you.